In the first issue, Zim finds out Dib is allergic to puppers, and so he weaponizes them. Fortunately, Dib is rescued by a poodle. It's an alright issue. It's got some funny goofs, but that's the thing. There's nothing great about it. It's an insidious kind of bad that leaves you forgotten in a week. Issue 12 is my favorite issue released so far by a relatively wide margin. It starts off in space, which is always a good thing, and circling around the sun sends them into a future where Zim was successful in his plans. Now, I'm not gonna nerd rage too hard over the fact that they don't go into detail of how this time traveling works, because it's not really important. What is important is that we always hear Zim go on about how he's going to destroy the humans, enslave the humans, but I've always wondered what exactly he would do if his goal ever came into fruition. And that is exactly what this issue answers. Zim has real imperial rule over everyone and is genuinely intimidating. 6 months go by and we find Dib talking to his dead skeleton self. Zim breaks him out, saying that they have a common enemy. The fact Zim is ultimately who thwarts himself is oddly poignant. After a long stretch of mediocrity, it's nice to have something from these comics that is imaginative, dark, and hilarious. I'd say it's up to par with something like one of the better Futurama episodes. I don't want to spoil too much of it, so I'll just leave it at that. Issue 13 goes back to being pretty meh, however. These aliens abduct Dib and are using him for ransom against Zib. It's funny, but it's not horribly original. We've seen these jokes before. The twist is that Dib drank this thing that makes him giant, and things go off the rails from there. Something I touched on briefly in the last review was how annoying it is for Dib to just be a butt monkey all the time. It's not so bad here because Zim gets his comeuppance though. It's definitely a weaker entry. If the time travel issue is my favorite, then this one is a close second. A problem I always had with Gaz in the show is how she didn't give a damn if Dib lived or died. Here, however, we get a clear walkthrough of her thought process, and it makes her a much more likable character. Anyways, Gaz inadvertently gives Dib a vial of experimental nanosploder bots. That makes it so if Dib becomes too upset, he explodes. This premise might sound familiar to you if you've ever watched SpongeBob, specifically the episode where Squidward gives SpongeBob an explosive pie. It is a lot like that episode, which is far, far from a bad thing. So then Dib once again gets put on blast on the internet, and the president is on Gaz to cheer him up by looking for Squish Squash in the forest. The writer does a good job of having Gaz be nice to Dib without her breaking character, and without making the story sweet. That's the last thing you want in an Invader Zim plot. The jokes, good humor, and catharsis that ensue are all things I'll not spoil, but I do highly recommend this issue. The following issue is charming and tells a lot of different potential origin stories for Miss Bitters. While each one is funny and told in a cool and unique style, I'm disappointed we didn't get to actually learn anything about her origin. It's a simple premise which is fine being standard, and simple gives more room for comedy, and this one is very funny. That's all there is to say about it. It's exceptionally funny. There at the end of the volume we get a series of shorts by various authors. I don't get or appreciate any of them, and find the one where Zim goes around sucking up people's sweat to feed to Gur particularly disturbing. That wraps up this 3-part review. The third volume is by a wide margin my favorite. Although as fun as it's been, I look forward to reviewing mostly novels from now on and never looking at comics again. Speaking of, next week I'll be reviewing Harlan Ellison's first novel, Web of the City.